By the way, this is José Mariano Luján from the University of Murcia. I'm here with a couple of colleagues, Juanjo, Meroño, Raúl, Sanchez, and Sabina del Rey. Also, we have some folks from the University of Texas who has also been working to make this BOF to bring it to life. So if they want to introduce themselves, that would be excellent.
Hi, I'm Chris Schauer from Texas State University. We have a couple other colleagues here. We have Salwa and Q.
Great, thanks. So I would love to hear if anyone of you want to present themselves. Feel free to, I think everyone can use the microphone, so we can do a quick round. Hello,
hey, this is Steve Swinsberg, developer on the new book project.
Hi, Steve. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, guys.
Hi, this is Jeff. Sorry, I had to get out of Big Blue Button and get back in, so I probably missed some of what you were saying, Jose. But good morning. So I'm the project manager for the Gradebook enhancements project, and this is Jeff.
Yeah. Hi, Jeff. Thanks for joining also.
Hi.
We have Laura on the chat from University of Notre Dame. Hi, Laura.
Hey, I'm Will Humphreys. I'm a developer at Tufts, and we use Gradebook2. So just kind of checking in to see what's going on.
Hi there. Which university, sorry?
Tufts University.
Oh, okay. Welcome.
Thanks.
Yeah, we have Diego from Scriba, Annie. Hi, Diego also. All right. So if there is anyone else, we can go ahead.
So actually,
Okay.
we have. Hey, Jose, this is Jeff.
Yeah.
So we have Peyton Giles is trying to join, and actually, what's the password for the room? I actually had it saved, but we just want to get him in.
I think it's Aperio.
Okay, lowercase.
Yes, I believe
Okay,
so. Yeah.
great. I'll have him try it again.
All right, so I'll say it again in case anyone missed it, but there is an agenda that we will be following. It's a Google Doc. I'll paste it on the chat. Yeah, so I think we're going to start by there. The agenda, we will make a brief introduction, which is all of this that we are saying right now. And then we will go through a gap analysis between Gradebook2 and Gradebook1 that our colleague Raúl, with the help of some other folks and also people from Texas, we've been working on that. Then we will try, this is an open space where anyone can be typing what they find that needs to be done in Gradebook1 or GradebookNG. We'll discuss that later to close the gap between Gradebook2 and any of those Gradebooks. And then, yeah, we have some information that Juanjo Meroño have worked on to make Gradebook2 work in the latest version of Trunk. And so we will cover also that. And then, yeah, any information that you have or that you know about can be linked at the last agenda item to help anyone going through this process. So yeah, so the first point is the institutions using Gradebook2. Well, we're from the University of Murcia, and we've been using Gradebook2 for over 5 years now. We actually thought that we were quite alone until the latest Sakai Gradebook enhancement webinar, where there was a quick poll that was launched during the webinar. 37% percentage of the people that attended that webinar say that they were using Gradebook2. So that was quite surprising for us. So that's why that motivated us to open this discussion and to try to find out who else was interested in going from Gradebook2 to Gradebook1 or NG. There is a link there to an outdated list of institutions using Gradebook2. We will encourage you to update the link because that will be helpful for everyone. I'm also going to start sharing my screen. Let me see, so that we can go through the document together. Can anyone see my screen?
I'm not seeing anything.
No. All right.
Yeah, not yet.
Okay. It seems like it will be there in a minute. All right, so it should be working now. Hopefully you see the Google Doc that I was talking about. Okay, so yeah, there is a link that takes you to the Confluence, where there is a list of institutions that are supposed to be using Gradebook2 right now, but this is really well, there is some information has been updated recently, but I think there is a lot of old information also. So it would be helpful if you know someone that is using Gradebook2 to update this information. We encourage you to do so. Yeah, so then we have here, we added a space for if your institution is considering moving from Gradebook2 to Gradebook1 or GradebookNG, please add your name. That will be also helpful to try to keep contact with each other. Yeah, so now we're going to go through the gap analysis, which probably is what interests you to most of you. So we're here now. Yeah, here it only says that please do update the document if you feel that there is something that you can add, or if there is a better screenshot that describes what is in each item. We will really appreciate collaboration from anyone. So yeah, I go point by point, but yeah, please stop me at any time or help me out if you see that my English is not working very well. So yeah, so the first one, well, into here, is there any question? I was not checking the chat, but I don't see anything in the chat. So yeah. So I'll go ahead and start with the document. So the first point is that Gradebook1, well, Gradebook2 includes weighted items, but Gradebook1 does not. I'm sure that Chris will complement this by the queries that they've executed in Texas State, because they have some information about how many users from their university were actually using this feature in Gradebook 2, and that will be something that they will probably need in Gradebook 1, or they will have trouble if they move to Gradebook 1. Here is a screenshot of how Gradebook 2 handles this configuration. So we have grade items like grade 1, grade 2, and you can set different percentage for within the category. So we have here an example. As I said, like, please feel free to comment here or yeah, anything that would be helpful. Or if you know that a use case that it's really relevant for your institution, will suffer a lot if you remove that from to your instructors. That will be also interesting information. So the second point is about the final grade. Well, Gradebook 1 needs does not allow to include an item into the calculation of the final grade if that item is not public to students. I mean, if it's not visible to students. Yeah, we were discussing this locally, and this would be a problem for instructors, because sometimes what they do is that they create all the items, they make them visible to students at the beginning of the course, then they hide them so that they can introduce the grades, and then they see the final grade calculation and everything, and then they make them visible. So without in Gradebook 1, without making them visible, instructor won't be able to see the final grade of the student, because there is a condition between, as you can see in the screenshot, you need to check the first release this item to students before being able to include this item in the course grade calculations. So yeah, I'm seeing some comments, questions. Yeah, there is a question on the document. Does anyone know the background to this? Is there an academic use case for this? Could be fixed in the API, maybe. Okay, interesting question. I don't have such information. So if anyone on the call does have that information, that would be excellent. If not, we'll probably end up with, or it would be great to end up with some question that we can afterwards send to that list to see if some other people from the community are able to answer them.
Yeah, just one comment on that. I'm not sure what the academic use case is for, but we have about a number of items in there, and almost half of our users have at least one item in the system where it's not released to the student, but it's included in the final grade. I'm not sure why they're doing it, but it seems like a lot of people are doing it. So.
Yeah, this is Jeff. I could be wrong about this, so maybe somebody else on the call knows, but I think at some point in Gradebook 1 history, you were allowed to do that, and it was actually changed so that you needed to release it to the student in order to include it in course grade calculation, and it might have been done for transparency, but I'm not positive about that.
Oops. Yeah. Yeah. How do you spell transparency?
I think I'm the worst. I'm the worst English speller. I don't know why you asked me, but
yeah, thanks. All right.
Yeah, but I think if we were to check the Jira history, I mean, maybe that was done 3 years ago, if memory serves, but we could check Jira on that.
All right, thanks. Okay, so moving along, we go to the and thanks for your questions. I do appreciate them. So yeah, point number 3, it's about the Gradebook item point value. So this it's also very well. I don't know about the importance of that, but Gradebook2, if you want to change the number of items, the points that a Gradebook item it's worth, the total number of points, it offers you the possibility to recalculate the grades that you already have. So yeah, I mean, it seems something interesting. Gradebook1 does not include that option. So we have here an example. So these screenshots are from Gradebook1. So the first one, we have the grade 1 is worth 10 points, and yeah, and there is a student that has a 7, and then you modify the total points to 20, and then the student still have a 7. Gradebook2 allows you to rescale those grades from the students. So we think it's something also interesting. Yeah, about the fourth point is about section awareness. This screenshot is from the Jira that is listed in the document. Yeah, Gradebook1, we could say that is more section aware than Gradebook2, because if you have a student who is enrolled in only one section, in both Gradebook1 and Gradebook2, that student will be able to see grade items from other sections. But the difference is that Gradebook1, if those items from other sections come from an external tool, Gradebook1 does not show those items to the students. But Gradebook2 shows all the items. So at this point, let's say that Gradebook1 will win, because what we would like to see is that either of them, Gradebook1, GradebookNG, or Gradebook2, does not show items that are not related to a student who is enrolled in a section that is not related to those items. I'm here. There is a question coming up on the document. Do we know if the score is calculated removing the items where you don't have access? What I know for sure, at least in Gradebook2, is that if the student, let's say the student belongs to section A, and there is also section B and section C. If the student will see grades from sections B or C, but if the instructor or TA does not introduce a grade for the student in those items, it will not affect his final grade. But this is really important. It must the grade those items must have the configuration to let's see how it is in English. I'll let you know in a second. Here, the set ungraded items to 0. So instructor have to make sure that for those sections, B and C, he does not take this option. Because if he selects this option, it could affect the final grade of a student being only in section A. So going back to the question here. Here, section awareness. Probably not the answer to your question. Anyone has some more information about this or how Gradebook1 handles this? Okay, so we move along. We'll try to answer those questions later. Yeah, so point number 5, this was a test that was done by Raul. He tested Gradebook1 and Gradebook2 a couple of months ago in the same instance, and he showed that the structure and the grades were remain the same, except for the weight within the weight of an item within a category, which because Gradebook1 does not allow that, that information get lost. So this was just some more information that we added to the document. Yeah. Another differentiation from Gradebook1 and Gradebook2. Gradebook1 does have more exporting and importing possibilities. So it allows to export a PDF of like a report of different students and their final grades, which Gradebook2 does not allow that. It also introduces a new concept, the doc, loading doc, to import the grades. When you try to import grades from an Excel, for example, this does not happen in Gradebook2. And also, here is an important differentiation, and is that when you try to import an Excel file, you are not able to export more than one grade at a time. So you have to be doing the import like several times. And also the gradebook item point value get lost, which could be a problem. This is in Gradebook1. And another differentiation is that in Gradebook1, you are not able to import or export a full Gradebook extractor, which you are able in Gradebook2. And we are aware that that's being used quite a lot when instructors want to reuse the extractor from one semester to the other. Okay, keep on moving. If there is any question, please stop me. And if there is anything on the chat, I would really appreciate if somebody else can be asking the questions of the chat so that everyone can see them. Okay, point number 7. This is about the total percentage. Gradebook2 does allow to go over 100. Not sure if this is something that this use case is common. We are aware that some people are using it when they have re-exams. They tend to go over the percentage, and they don't grade those students in the other exam, and they make sure that they don't have selected the set blanks at 0, and they are able to calculate in Gradebook2 a final grade by going over the 100 percentage. Yeah, but as I say, I'm not sure if this use case will be something really important for the community. We are aware that some people are using it, but not sure if that's the proper way to use Gradebook2. Okay, keep on going. Yeah, number 8, it's about that there is more grading possibilities in Gradebook2. I mean, in Gradebook1 than in Gradebook2. So yeah, there are like some average. You have the category, the average per category, which that information is not present in Gradebook2.
We have a question from the last
Yep.
one, asking is that the same as using an extra credit category on number 7 on the weighted categories? I think it's different.
Yeah, it's different. This is just that you go over the percentage, and Gradebook2 allows that. So if you know how the calculations are being handled, then you can, maybe get more out of Gradebook2. But this is not related to extra credit. Yeah. Thanks for the question. Okay, so so here this one was that there's more information provided by Gradebook1 in terms of averages, from categories and the grades. So that's good. Number 9. Also that you have some more possibilities in Gradebook1. If you see the screenshot here, the one in the middle, that is with the circle, that's provided by Gradebook2, but the other 2 are not provided by Gradebook2. So that's also good. It's new functionality that will come along with Gradebook1. Okay, and this is just something that we thought that it was worth mentioning. In Gradebook2, it's easier to delete a grade item. It's easier than in Gradebook1. It says here in the comment that this is addressed by GradebookNG. Not sure if we added this comment. So if Jeff or Steve can. Okay, that's great. Thanks, Steve. All right. Yeah, so this is we already mentioned this a little bit. So the ability to set ungraded items to 0. Okay, there is a comment here. This is addressed in, well, I was explaining before. Yeah, so the difference here is that in Gradebook 2, the user is able to select or unselect as many times as he wants. But in Gradebook1, you can only do it once. If you choose to set ungraded items to 0, then that action cannot be undone. So yeah. So now I will read the comment from Steve. This is addressing GradebookNG. You do this on the Gradebook item itself. You can also choose something other than 0. Yeah, but you can't undo it. Okay. So yeah, slightly different, but yeah, the main point here that was that you were able to do or undo as you wanted. Won't be present in GradebookNG. Okay, yeah. So I guess somehow Gradebook knows which grades were actually a 0 and which grades were automatic 0. Not sure how the code is, but somehow Gradebook knows that because okay, yeah. So this maybe we could check how Gradebook2 is handling that. Maybe something that it could be implemented in Gradebook1 to actually differentiate which zeros were made, let's say, by hand, and which zeros were automatically changed. Okay, so moving along. Thanks for the clarification, Steve. Number 12. Yeah, this is about the log. Gradebook2 keeps a log of the changes that are introduced for almost anything. And Gradebook1 does only include does include less information. I think Gradebook1 only includes the change in the grades. But Gradebook2 includes, as you can see in the screenshot, almost everything. It's like a log that tells you when an item was added, when it was removed. Actually, I think it can tell you who removed the item. This has actually been pretty useful for us because we had some use cases where instructors sharing the same course but with being in different sections, because Gradebook 2 does not allow to have different instructors for each section. We have had use cases where one instructor from group A has created a structure, and then another instructor from group B have entered the site, and then he has removed some of the items just because he thought that, yeah, those were there by mistake or something. So we've used the log to actually get some useful information. Not sure if this could be added to Gradebook1. Yeah, thanks for there's a use case on the comment. Yeah, useful when you have TAs helping an instructor. Yeah, and as I say, yeah, helpful when you have to troubleshoot some accidentally deleted items. Okay, yeah, there's a comment from Steve. Gradebook API has a grade log only, not a log of other events. Yeah, I'm not sure how Gradebook2 is handling that. We could check it later. Okay. Yeah, about the Excel entry mode. Yeah, this is something that the users of Gradebook2 love. Yeah, and I think this was addressed by Jeff and Steve, and one of the main requirements of GradebookNG, Gradebook Enhancement Project, or Gradebook New Generation, was to have Gradebook entry for the items. Thanks for the updated screenshot. Cool. Yeah, Gradebook1 does not have this option, but GradebookNG might have it, will have it. Okay, I think this is the last one. Yeah, Gradebook1 offers the ability to sort items within a category, but it's not possible to reorder items. Reorder categories. Here is we took a couple of screenshots where you can see that Gradebook2 give you full flexibility on this. You can move items around, or you can move categories around. Yeah, we are aware that this is also pretty useful, especially when you have some, as I said, some sections within a site trying to do different things or things like that, so that they can organize their items as they want. Not sure if this will be able to go into Gradebook1 sometime. Okay, yeah, yeah. From here to the bottom of the document, there is more information. Some of it is in Spanish about the calculations. Yeah, don't need to go over that. There is also here at the end an email that we found very interesting from Jim Mesonote, who was working in at ANI, about the different differentiations between Gradebook1 and Gradebook2. Yeah, so any information, feel free to add it to this document. Now I will return to the main document. Here we have another interesting document. It's the Excel. Yeah, I'll paste it also in the chat. And it's here. Okay, so this document is a summary of all.
I think your mic might have cut out. Mariano, I think your mic turned off. Can't hear anything if you're talking right now. If he's just trying to rejoin, yeah.
Yeah, I reconnected because I think that you somehow I lost the audio.
Yeah, okay. I'll pass presenter back to you.
All right, thanks. Okay, so hopefully I'm back. Sorry about that. Not sure what happened, but Big Blue Button decided to stop my audio. Okay, so we are in the Excel document. Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, great. Okay, thanks. All right, so I was just saying that the document, the Excel document, which I will paste again, well, probably, not sure if you hear that, but probably you saw it on the chat. I'll paste it again in the chat. Okay, so the document is it was done by it's a summary of the main document that we went through. Yeah, just 2 minutes ago. This compares Gradebook1, Gradebook2, and hopefully Steve or Jeff or someone from GradebookNG can help us to check the word GradebookNG introduces. Well, some of them has been already covered, but it would be excellent if they can take a look and check the different items. So I don't think that we need to go over this right now because it's the same things that we saw in the main document. So probably we move along. Yeah, but this is something that we will be sharing with the whole community as soon as we get feedback from all of you. So yeah, I'll say it again, but this BOF was also, the University of Murcia was going to do this job, but we thought that it was interesting to actually do it in a collaborative way to make sure that we go in the right direction. So your help is valuable and necessary. Okay, so I'll move along in the main document, and now I'll pass it over to Chris because they have another document to share, which I paste on the chat, and it's they can explain it. So Chris, probably you need presenter rights.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, thanks to Mariano and Raul for putting that together. That's a great gap analysis. Definitely appreciate you guys sharing that with us. It's going to help a lot going forward in making this decision. And let's see, I need to share my screen.
Yeah, no problem. We are help to help.
So I put together some statistics based off of our instance of Gradebook2 and just some statistics related to those differences that Mariano just described between Gradebook2 and Gradebook1. So just like to go through them really quickly, and at the end, or actually link it right now, I have, let's see, I will add a link to the queries that I use to grab these statistics so that you guys can run it on your instance as well, and might help you make a decision or know what items might potentially be problematic moving from Gradebook1 or from Gradebook2 back to Gradebook1. And it's not letting me copy and paste into the chat for some reason. Sorry about that, but I'll go back. I'll get that later. Go back to the presentation here. So firstly, just some notes about where things are found in Gradebook2 in the database. And all of these items here are the same for Gradebook1. Gradebook2 shares most of the database schema from Gradebook1, which is why when you go look in Gradebook1 after populating items into Gradebook2, everything mostly looks okay. Just some notes about schema changes. There were some fields added to the gradebook category and gradable object tables. So the gradable objects are for the weights within categories, some items added to category for category order, and some statistics related things added to the gradebook table. And there are also extra tables, so the grade history is a separate table, and there's a separate implementation or an API within Gradebook2 to handle all of that stuff. So I don't know if that stuff were to be ported back to Gradebook1, that could be used as a starting point. So just some basic counts for us. We've got about 51,000 total gradebooks in our system, 87,000 categories, 700,000 items, and a little over 4,000 users. So these sorts of statistics, I'd imagine, are pretty similar, but some of them might be pretty different. So most people stick with the default, which is points. and hardly anybody uses letter grades. So losing letter grades when moving from Gradebook 2 to Gradebook 1 will not be a concern, and I don't think that it will be much of a concern for anyone. I don't think letter grades is too popular of an option, and that email from Jim Mezzanotte actually mentioned letter grades are a bit problematic in the way that they do their scaling and mapping from letter grade to points, and in the end everything is converted to points before the final grade calculation is done. And I believe that's true for both Gradebook 2 and Gradebook 1. It's certainly true for Gradebook 2 anyways. So some more interesting stuff here is what category types people are using. So most people, again, stick with the default. However, I broke it down here into number of gradebooks and number of grade items because a lot of gradebooks that don't get a whole lot of use are sticking with the default. As you can see here, a lot of people like to make use of weighted categories, which for us means that there's going to be a little bit of a shift that has to happen because of the difference in handling weighted categories between Gradebook 2 and Gradebook 1. So we've got about a third of our users using weighted categories. And so here's just the breakdown of how those items are weighted across our system. So the individual weighting is the Gradebook 2 exclusive way of doing weighting and is also the default in Gradebook 2. And you can set weightings within the category regardless of what the points are. So you could have a test worth 100 points and a test worth 500 points, and the test worth 100 points could actually be weighted more within the category than the test worth 500 points. And shown here, a little over half of our users are using that. And a lot of people like to equally weight grade items within Gradebook 2, and this is also a Gradebook 2 exclusive feature where regardless of the max points of all the grade items within that category, you can say these are all weighted equally. So moving to Gradebook 1, that would require some conversion on the user's part to convert them all into an equal max points and then enter them in after the conversion. So I don't know if this is a feature that would easily be added to Gradebook 1, but I think it's something that our users anyway would definitely be interested in. And 8.6% are using by points, which is the equivalent of how Gradebook 1 handles weighting. Yeah, so with the individual, I don't know how many people are actually making use of that. These are all just done with very simple SQL queries. My SQL skills are not very advanced, so I couldn't really couldn't do with figuring out how people are using it. Things like how many people have weights that are different than their points would turn out to be. So there are some people using weighted categories when simple categories would have been sufficient, stuff like that. So I'm not sure how much that big blue chunk there is actually using the Gradebook 2 individually weighted functionality and how many just have it because it's the default. So there's some further investigation needed there, sorry. So some points on the treating null as 0. So we have number of items and about a quarter of our users are using this treat null as 0 functionality. I think the only thing to note there is just that we need to make it clear to the users that that action is not revertible in Gradebook 1. But of course the functionality does still exist there in Gradebook 1, so that's not too big of a deal. And this is the one item that got brought up earlier, which is that unreleased items can be included in the grade in Gradebook 2. And we actually have a lot of items. So if I go back to here, we have 700,000 total items, and we've got about 75,000 items that are unreleased but included in the final grade. So that's a little over 10%, which was kind of surprising to me how many people were doing this, because I couldn't really think off the top of my head of a reason why you would want to release a grade or not release a grade yet included in the final grade calculation. But a lot of our users are doing it, and over half of our users actually have at least one case. So I don't know if this is because they're forgetting to release the grade, but they've already included it. I think that might be the case for a lot of them. So I think perhaps some further investigation and maybe reach out to some of the users and ask if there is a use case for this, might be warranted. I also have, so that's the end of the presentation there. I have on this here, which is what Mariano linked in the, SQL queries. Let me see why this is not copying. Okay, it's just up there as an SQL file on my Google Drive. Probably post that somewhere. Yeah, unfortunately, Google Docs doesn't want to show it. I wonder if I can convert it to a text file. But one other thing was there are some in there to run all of these and see how many users are using category types or different grade types, for example. Let me see if I can actually convert this to a different type.
You could add it to a GitHub gist if you wanted to as well.
Okay, actually, yeah, let me...
And then just paste the link in there.
Oh, where's that? On my Windows machine, which I don't do development stuff on, so here we go. So what is the, I haven't used...
Gist.github.com. There you go.
All right, thank you.
And then just say create public at the bottom, and that's it.
Okay, all right.
And then
Thank you
just take
for
that down. Sure, no problem.
Okay, so there's the link there to the GitHub gist of the queries, and yeah, so you guys can use that to see what your stats look like. That's all I have as far as the statistics go.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Great information. We will need to run the queries here also in Murcia and see how they look compared to Texas and others. Yeah.
Can I update the gist after it's already out there, or is that just oh, there's revisions on here? Okay. I noticed after I did all this that for some of the grade items, I'm not filtering on whether there's two object IDs in there. One's for regular grade items and the other is for the final course grade, and I'm not filtering those out in a lot of the statistics. I don't know if it makes really a significant difference, but I'll go in and change those.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll pass the presenter back to you. I guess we only have a few minutes left here.
Yep. Okay. Thanks. All right. Let me see if I can. Thanks, Chris. I had. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I'll go back to the document. Yeah. Just moving quickly. The next item will be to start listing the things that could be added to Gradebook to close the gap of the things that we mentioned before. Probably with the queries, we could see which of them are more important than others, so that the information will be really, really helpful to decide and to see actually if there is resources or that's another that's another thing. But yeah, probably to make an initial list of the things that will be interesting to have in Gradebook1 that are already in Gradebook2, and then we could make decisions and move on. Yeah, so I encourage you to at least hear anything that you find interesting from the things that you saw before. Also, another important point, making Gradebook2 functional in Sakai 11. Not sure of how people have think about the move, but one thing that we considered here in Murcia was to if in the migration to Sakai 11, one thing that we could do was to, for the new courses, provide them with Gradebook1, but then leave Gradebook2 to the remaining courses, the one that were created last academic year or years before. So the first thing that you need to do is to actually make sure that Gradebook2 works with Morpheus. So Juanjo Meroño was doing some quick tests. I also remember that Chris did some work on this, but we haven't talked about this. So I just pasted here the information from Juanjo. But if Chris or anyone else has some other information, it will be great to have it here also. So Juanjo told me that he was able to make it work in Gradebook2 by using that property, which allows Gradebook2 to use iframes. But I don't know any of the technical stuff. So if you want to do more testing or you want to get some more information, Juanjo will probably be the right person to contact. And then moving along, the last point is documentation. As I said, we don't want to go long on this. We actually have not made a decision yet. That's something that will probably be decided as soon as Sakai 11 is released, as soon as GradebookNG is in trunk. I mean, a lot of factors are around the decision, but we wanted to take this because we think that it's a really important change, because we are talking about grades. So we wanted to take this with some time. So any documentation will be helpful, and we will be providing and sharing all the findings that we find. doesn't sound right, but all the information that we find we'll be sharing with the community. Probably haven't discussed this with anyone, but probably makes sense to have a Confluence page where we can actually link all this information better than a Google Doc, so that people actually can find it if they search on Google or things like that. So any help with that will also be great. So it's 4. I don't want to keep you guys here, but if there is interest, we could probably go over a few minutes. So any questions, any feedback, any advice? Maybe we could kind of create a working group or something like that for the universities or institutions or commercial affiliates that are interested in this, and try to collaborate as much as possible. And I really appreciate having here people from the new Gradebook project, Gradebook Enhancements. Don't know what's the best name to call it, but GradebookNG sounds like a good name to me. You guys are an important part of this, because probably as soon as GradebookNG goes into master, probably Gradebook1 gets left behind. Not sure, but you probably have the answer, or the community have the answer. Not sure.
Yeah, I can speak to that, Mariano. So Gradebook1 will remain in trunk. It'll remain as an option. The plan as of now is to make GradebookNG the default, but if institutions still need to use Gradebook1 for some time, that's a possibility. I think we've sort of talked internally that maybe we keep that in for Sakai 11, but then by Sakai 12, Gradebook1 is deprecated. Steve, does that align with your thinking on it?
Yep, that's right. So the backend is completely compatible with both. So GradebookNG is a new front end on the Gradebook API.
Okay, yeah, so probably this group should work towards GradebookNG rather than Gradebook1. Well, because this was, a first informal conversation, and all the information we had so far was related to Gradebook1, but probably it makes sense that we somehow turn this conversation into Gradebook2, moving from Gradebook2 to GradebookNG. Probably will make sense. Not sure if Chris or others think like that, but probably, and actually it will be less traumatic, I think you say. At least you say that in Spanish. Traumatic for instructors to move from Gradebook to GradebookNG rather than from Gradebook2 to Gradebook1, if we think in terms of UI and usability.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, no, anyone interested in like trying to like create a working group? I mean, or something we can like keep contact or through the mailing list or something like that, and try to move this forward. Or does anyone have a decision made about moving from one to the other?
I know we are strongly leaning towards moving to GradebookNG, hopefully for 11. Yeah. I don't know that we've made a definite decision yet, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, so if there is no other comments, we could finish here. I will send some information to the dev list and user list, and we could continue from them. Maybe try to meet again September or October, something like that. As soon as GradebookNG is in trunk, we'll probably have more information, and we will encourage people to run those queries, people using Gradebook2 to actually see so we can use that data to decide what's more interesting to have in Gradebook1. And Steve or Jeff, do you have a target date? I know probably you've been asked this 1,000 times by now, but not target date, but expected date for having GradebookNG in master?
Yeah, it's any time now. We're just trying to finish off some of the features, and then we'll drop it in.
Okay.
Yeah, and Mariana, I put it in the chat, but I think you're definitely right to say looking digging into the data, and then seeing what features are most used, and with that as one of your tools, working with a working group to decide what it makes sense to move forward into Gradebook1, and then sorry, into GradebookNG rather. And then doing the type of usability testing to make sure that those features are incorporated in the best way that they can. So I think, a working group and approaching it in that way is a great way to go.
All right, thanks. Yeah, so we will probably try to organize that for late September, October, somewhere there. Yeah. In the meantime, people could try to collect some data and do some testing with the new gradebook and things like that. So it would probably make sense to leave it up for end of September, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So anything else?
We had some questions about potentially contributing to the efforts to close the gaps between Gradebook2 and GradebookNG. Perhaps offering up some development time to work on some of the features that are important to us at Texas State. Are you guys open to that, and how would we go about contributing?
Yeah, we'll have to check here, because as I said, that's a decision that should come from above. But definitely, if we are going to do the change, we'll probably need to think about trying to close those gaps. But I cannot guarantee anything, but we'll probably think about that, about trying to contribute some work. But as I said, that's not something that it's on my hands.
Yeah, no, I was wondering more about us contributing. Yeah, so I don't know if Jeff or Steve know more, or if any other institutions are interested in.
Yeah, I guess what's been our thinking is just where we are in terms of in the cycle, and like Steve said, we're wrapping up some last sort of features, and there'll be a lot of bug fixing. So just in terms of the timing of the release of 11, we want to make sure that we're not putting in more big features, that sort of rearrange the UI that we've done, the better part of a year kind of doing usability testing on. So Steve, do you want to speak more to timing and release?
Yeah, so I guess that's the... Oh, I can hear an echo. So I'm feeling really weird. That's better. Yeah, so I guess Sakai 11 is kind of wrapping up for features, and adding new things now is probably a bit of a risk. And I think, we've had a bit of a discussion about some of these features that have come in, and I think a bit more research might need to go into how they're being used and how they can best be represented in the new interface that we're providing. Doing a bit of research and perhaps targeting those for 11. I think it's probably a bit late to be getting new features in. Sorry, targeting those for 12. It's probably getting a bit late to contribute some major new functionality in, and especially a lot of those things that we've seen today, they're very back-end heavy. So whilst you might have a UI that can control it, unless it's all really tight in the back end, I can see a bit of a risk there in trying to squeeze that into 11.
Okay, definitely. Fair enough. Yeah, but for 12, if we wanted to contribute some efforts to 12, I guess that would be after NG goes into master, and I guess that's just the same process that it is for regular pull requests then at that point for Sakai?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
So at the moment, the code is just sitting in my own GitHub, just because that's where we started it. So we are going to move that over really soon. And yeah, you can certainly check it out and have a look at it right now.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, Yeah, and I think this, this conversation is really useful. Looking at the data is very useful, and I think it's sort of continuing that, as Mariano suggested, sort of in a working group. And we've always sort of seen this as sort of a first a first phase of Gradebook, sort of getting the Gradebook1 users over, getting this major overhaul of the interface done. And as that sort of settles out, as people are moved over, we sort of get rid of the bugs, we settle out that user experience, then doing kind of the thoughtful work for 12 through a community project. If Neil was here, he would be saying farm, and enjoying it. So having a project around that to get those other features in. Yeah, I'm all for it, and I know a lot of people would be interested in participating. So
yeah, it does sound like a farm project.
Yeah.
All right. So I hear some echo. Me too. Okay, thanks. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, thanks everyone for participating. And if there is, if there is more questions, we can for sure keep on going. But if not, as Neil always said, a motion that we adjourn this meeting. Yeah, and we could continue the discussion through mailing list, and then try to promote another birds of a feather discussion probably, or something like that, and then see if we can start this working group in September.
Do we want to use there is a Gradebook2 dev list that doesn't get a whole lot of use. Maybe we could use that for a lot of these discussions.
Yeah. Do you know if it was moved to Apereo?
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
I don't know. Sure. Probably we could create one. I was thinking that also at least the first emails should go to the dev list, so that people that are not that aware, but we could copy that, and we could have one for like working, anyone. Yeah, I don't think that would be a problem to set up a mailing list for this purpose during a specific period of time. I think Neil could help us with that. So yeah, I'll check that also. If the Gradebook2 mailing list is not in apereo.org, I will ask them if they can create a new one. And we will make sure that we copy the dev list at least during the first emails and for the important information. Yeah, it was okay. There is a comment on the chat that Gradebook2 dev was merged to Sakai dev. Yeah, probably if we are going through this process, it will probably make sense to have a different list for that. I'm not sure. I'll check with Neil. All right. So if you happen to have vacations soon, enjoy them. Hope to see you around.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks everyone for attending.
Thanks all.
Talk to you guys on through email and stuff.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.